What is up, friends? I'm hanging out here with my friend, Nolan. Nolan, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yep, for sure. My name is Nolan. I'm from Southeast Missouri State University. I currently serve my chapter, Lambda Chi Alpha, as our Recruitment Data Director. And then I'm also on the Interfraternity Council Executive Board as the Vice President of Education.
Talk to me a little bit about leading your chapter's growth efforts this past year and kind of where your chapter has been and where you are now.
I guess I should start all the way in spring 2022. I got connected with Phired Up and ChapterBuilder actually through my international headquarters. Lambda Chi Alpha actually provides this resource for all of its chapters, and it's super awesome. And just having the ability to use a resource like ChapterBuilder to organize our potential new members and be able to connect with them through that resource was a game changer for us. We were seeing immense amount of contact rates with my recruiters. We were able to get about 20 to 30 PNMs through our door, which is amazing for a smaller school like Southeast, especially when you come from a smaller chapter like mine. ChapterBuilder and the Phired Up resources really did change our recruitment and how we recruit now versus how we used to. We've adapted a lot. We've learned a lot about social excellence and authentic connections because of the resources that have been provided. And I'm proud to say that ChapterBuilder and the Phired Up resources really led to a strong class, especially when it comes to retention. We were able to retain our membership and not just get them to the door, but they're still here today.
I also am curious about, though, you said resources were helpful, ChapterBuilder was helpful, and then you said so that we could recruit in a more modern way, in a different way. What is an example of that modern way? Like when you put that to practice, authentic connections, like really practically, like how did that look different for you and your chapter?
Modernizing recruitment for us it started with organizing our potential new members, but then it began, we kind of shifted into a more how we communicate with potential new members as well. Using ChapterBuilder to communicate, whether that be through the instant messaging feature or through phone calls, was awesome because we could organize everything, but then also being able to make those authentic connections with those potential new members, engaging, choosing to care, and choosing to be vulnerable at the end of the day with those potential new members, it really took our recruitment to the next level. And we weren't necessarily just recruiting potential new members, we were recruiting other people.
What percentage of fraternity recruitment do you think is like relationships and what's organization? Like what is it 50% for relationship, 50% organization? What would you say?
I would say it is definitely, both of them are important. I would say that relationships are the more important factor. Because if you're not building a relationship with somebody, they don't want to be in your organization. They don't want to be a part of your group. If you're not organized with that, you're not going to be able to create that relationship to begin with, though. If I had to put a percent on it, I'd probably say about 60% of it is the relationship aspect. And then 40% is probably being organized with that building of the relationships.
Yeah, I think I could agree with you. I think if you show up and you're pretty decent at building relationships and you're pretty great at being organized, you could actually have a pretty successful recruitment. In the same way, like if you show up and you are really great at being and helping people get into relationship with other members of your chapter, you building relationships with prospective members, and you are mostly organized, you can also have a pretty, if you're really great at relationships and you are disorganized, you will lose every time. And if you just open a ChapterBuilder account and you're super organized, but you're not using it to drive leads, then Nolan, we've seen this too, right? Like then it doesn't, you're not actually going to grow. There's no magic there. It's just what it is.
Fantastic. You've got your leads in ChapterBuilder, but if you're not going that next step and kind of creating that relationship, forging that authentic connection, they won't rush. They won't want to join.
You might have been organized, or maybe you tried to approach this spring in a way that just didn't actually drive leads into your list. What are you seeing in a spring at SEMO? What's your assessment on whether people grew or not this spring?
I would say that people probably didn't grow in the way they wanted, but I don't think that they adapted in the way they needed to in order to grow. Spring recruitment is completely different than fall recruitment. You don't have 500 new freshman males that are all wanting to come and walk into your door. You have to actually find them. Right. You have to seek them out because they've already found their people here. Yeah. They've been here for a semester. They've found what they think they have, and that's their groove. They've got that already. Yeah. But you've got to be able to reach out to them and connect with them in order to tell them, and essentially you've got to be able to connect with them in order for them to know that they also need to be a part of your group.
That the people show up to some of that stuff, even not at the rate we need them to, by the way. That's not even dynamic. The only reason it halfway works in a fall is because what you're saying, people don't have a ton of other options. Come to a spring, they've already got other options. There's not a random person just willing to show up for some free pizza. That's such a myth. It's right. You're going to have to do some of the outreach is what you're saying, right?
In order to be successful in the spring, you have to reach out to people because they're not just going to come up to an event. Like that is static recruitment in itself, expecting people to show up on their own. Yeah. You have to put in the work before that in order to get people there.
What would your recommendations be? Like if you were Nolan a year ago, you're Nolan on May 11th, 2022, and now it's May 11th, 2023. You're trying to tell the new Nolan, like, hey, go do these things. This is like what really matters. What are your recommendations?
My first recommendation is become a Phired Up certified recruiter. That changed the game for me. I am a Phired Up certified recruiter. I just got my certification. That everything I learned in that digital classroom has made me a better recruiter and a more socially excellent person today. I would recommend that to anyone. I've recommended it to multiple of my chapter members. Our chapter pays for our recruiters to get certified. It's fantastic. That certification is one of the best resources, in my opinion, on the market right now that you can invest in to better your recruitment. Second thing, I would 100% encourage everyone to get on ChapterBuilder. Using a modern recruitment technology in order to track your leads and in order to make sure that your recruiters are kind of contacting them, making sure that you're building those authentic connections is huge. It's a game changer. It doesn't just lead to more people walking through your door, but it leads to more people staying in your organization for a longer amount of time.
I couldn't agree more. Nolan, thanks for doing this. Everyone, thanks for watching this 5-ish minute interview with Nolan, who is crushing it at SEMO, Lambda Chi. Everybody stay fired up.